Thousands of years ago, after the flood, a man named Abram lived in the land of Haran with his wife Sarai. He trusted and believed in Adonai his God and walked faithfully in his ways. Then Adonai said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, but whoever curses you, I will curse, and in you all families of the earth will be blessed." So Abram went, just as Adonai had spoken to him. He took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered and the people that they acquired in Haran. They left to go to the land of Canaan. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from the land of Haran. Again Adonai appeared to Abram and said, "I will give this land to your seed. I will make your seed like dust of the earth, so numerous that no one could count." Because of these promises, Adonai said to Abram, "No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, in order to be your God and your seed's God after you. And as for your wife Sarai, you shall no longer call her Sarai. Rather, Sarah is her name. I will bless her, and I will give you a son from her." Again, Adonai appeared to Abraham and said, "Know for certain that your seed will be strangers in a land that is not theirs. They'll be enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. But I, Adonai, will judge the nation that they'll serve. I will remember my covenant with you, and I will bring them out of the land of slavery." Many years later, after the death of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Adonai's word came to pass. When Israel, Abraham's descendants, became slaves in the land of Egypt and were oppressed and enslaved by the new king Pharaoh and the Egyptians for 400 years. Israel cried out to Adonai, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob their fathers. He heard and remembered his covenant with his servant Abraham and delivered them from the Egyptian slave masters and the king Pharaoh. God raised a prophet from among the Israelites to deliver Israel from the land of Egypt. His name was Moses. Now Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of Adonai appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, "I will turn aside to see this great sight. Why is the bush not burnt?" When Adonai saw that he had gone over to see, God called to him from the middle of the bush, "Moses, Moses." He answered, "Here I am." Adonai said, "Don't come any closer. Take your sandals off your feet, because the place where you are standing is holy ground. I am the God of your father," he continued, "the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." Moses covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Adonai said, "I have seen how my people are being oppressed in Egypt and heard their cry for release from their slave masters, because I know their pain. I have come down to rescue them from the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that country to a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the place of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Yes, the cry of the people of Israel has come to me, and I have seen how the Egyptians oppress them. Therefore, now come, and I will send you to Pharaoh, so that you can lead my people, the descendants of Israel, out of Egypt." Moshe said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and lead the people of Israel out of Egypt?" He replied, "I will surely be with you. Your sign that I have sent you will be that when you have led the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." Moses said to God, "When I appear before the people of Israel and say to them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' what am I to tell them?" God said further to Moses, "Say this to the people of Israel. Yod-He-Vav-He, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzhak, and the God of Yaakov, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is how I am to be remembered generation after generation. Go, gather the leaders of Israel together, and say to them, Adonai, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, has appeared to me and said, I have been paying close attention to you, and have seen what is being done to you in Egypt. And I have said that I will lead you up out of the misery of Egypt to the land of the Canaanite, Hittite, Amorite, Perizzite, Hivite, and Yebusite, to a land flowing with milk and honey." Moses said to Adonai, "Oh Adonai, I'm a terrible speaker. I always have been, and I'm no better now, even after you've spoken to your servant. My words come slowly, my tongue moves slowly. Please, Lord, send someone else, anyone you want." At this, Adonai's anger blazed up against Moses. He said, "Don't you have a brother Aaron the Levi? I know that he's a good speaker. Here he is now, coming out to meet you, and he'll be happy to see you. You will speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and his, teaching you both what to do. Thus he will be your spokesman to the people in effect. For you, he will be a mouth, and for him, you will be like God. Now take this staff in your hand, because you need it to perform the signs." After that, Moses and Aaron came and said to Pharaoh, "Here is what Adonai, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, so that they can celebrate a festival in the desert to honor me." But Pharaoh replied, "Who is Adonai that I should obey when he says to let Israel go? I don't know Adonai, and I also won't let Israel go." Moses and Aaron said, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go on a 3-day journey into the desert so that we can sacrifice to Adonai our God. Otherwise, he may strike us with a plague or with the sword." The king of Egypt answered them, "Moses and Aaron, what do you mean by taking the people away from their work? Get back to your labor. Look." Pharaoh added, "The population of the land has grown, yet you are trying to have them stop working." That same day, Pharaoh ordered the slave masters and the people's foremen, "You are no longer to provide straw for the bricks the people are making as you did before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. But you will require them to produce the same quantity of bricks as before. Don't reduce it because they're lazing around. This is why they're crying, 'Let us go and sacrifice to our God.' Give these people harder work to do. That will keep them too busy to pay attention to speeches full of lies." The next day, the foremen of the people of Israel, whom Pharaoh's slave masters had appointed to be over them, were flogged and asked, "Why haven't you fulfilled your quota of bricks yesterday and today, as you did formerly?" Then the foreman of the people of Israel came and complained to Pharaoh. He said, "Why are you treating your servants this way? No straw is given to your servants, yet they keep telling us to make bricks. And now your servants are being flogged, but the fault lies with your own people." Pharaoh said, "Lazy," he retorted. "You're just lazy. That's why you say, 'Let us go and sacrifice to Adonai.' Get going now and get back to work. No straw will be given to you, and you will still deliver the full amount of bricks." When they said, "You are not to reduce your daily production quota of bricks," the foremen of the people of Israel could see that they were in deep trouble. As they were leaving Pharaoh, they encountered Moses and Aaron standing by the road, and they said to them, "May Adonai look at you and judge accordingly, because you have made us utterly abhorrent in the view of Pharaoh and his servants, and you have put a sword in their hands to kill us." Moses returned to Adonai and said, "Why have you treated these people so terribly? What has been the value of sending me? For ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has dealt terribly with these people, and you haven't rescued your people at all." Adonai said to Moses, "Now you will see what I am going to do to Pharaoh. With a mighty hand, he will send them off. With force, he will drive them from the land." Pharaoh is stubborn. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning, when he goes out to the water. Stand on the riverbank to confront him, take in your hand the staff which was turned into a snake, and say to him, Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, sent me to you to say, let my people go so that they can worship me in the desert. But until now you haven't listened. So Adonai says, this will let you know that I am Adonai. I will take the staff in my hand and strike the water in the river, and it will be turned into blood. The fish in the river will die, the river will stink, and the Egyptians won't want to drink water from the river. Adonai said to Moses, say to Aaron, take your staff and reach out your hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, canals, ponds, and all their reservoirs, so that they can turn into blood. There will be blood throughout the whole land of Egypt, even in the wooden buckets and stone jars. Moses and Aaron did exactly what Adonai had ordered. He raised the staff and in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, struck the water in the river, and all the water in the river was turned into blood. The fish in the river died, and the river stank so badly that the Egyptians couldn't drink its water. There was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. But the magicians of Egypt did the same with their secret arts, so that Pharaoh was made hard-hearted and didn't listen to them, as Adonai had said would happen. Pharaoh just turned and went back to his palace without taking any of this to heart. All the Egyptians dug around the river for water to drink because they couldn't drink the river water. Afterwards, Adonai kept bringing plagues upon plagues on the Egyptians, but Pharaoh's heart was still hardened, and he refused to let the people of Israel go and worship Adonai, the God of their fathers. Adonai said to Moses, I'm going to bring still one more plague on Pharaoh in Egypt, and after that, he will let you leave here. When he does let you go, he will throw you out completely. Now tell the people that every man is to ask his neighbor and every woman her neighbor for gold and silver jewelry. Adonai made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people. Moreover, Moses was regarded by Pharaoh's servants and the people as a very great man in the land of Egypt. Moses said, Here is what Adonai says. About midnight I will go out into Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the slave girl at the hand, and all the firstborn of the livestock. There will be a horrendous wailing throughout all the land of Egypt. There has never been another like it, and there never will be again. But not even a dog's growl will be heard against any of the people of Israel, neither against people nor against animals. In this way, you will realize that Adonai distinguishes between Egyptians and Israel. All your servants will come down to me, prostrate themselves before me, and say, Get out, you and all the people who follow you, and after that, I will go out. And it happened just as Adonai had said. At midnight, Adonai killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. Pharaoh got up in the night, he, all his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was horrendous wailing in Egypt, for there wasn't a single house without someone dead in it. He summoned Moses and Aaron by night and said, Up and leave my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go. Serve Adonai, as you said. Take both your flocks and your herds, as you said, and get out of here. But bless me, too. The Egyptians pressed to send the people out of the land quickly. The people of Israel took their dough before it had become leavened and wrapped their kneading bowls in their clothes on their shoulders. The people of Israel had done what Moses had said. They had asked the Egyptians to give them silver and gold jewelry and clothing. And Adonai had made the Egyptians so favorably disposed toward the people that they had let them have whatever they requested. Thus, they plundered the Egyptians. The people of Israel traveled from Ramses to Sukkot, some 600,000 men on foot, not counting children. They traveled from Sukkot and set up camp in Etam, at the edge of the desert. Adonai went ahead of them in a column of clouds during the daytime to lead them on their way, and at night in a column of fire to give them light. Thus they could travel both by day and by night. Neither the column of cloud by day nor the column of fire at night went away from in front of the people. Adonai spoke to Moshe and Aaron, "You are to begin your calendar with this month. It will be the first month of the year for you. Speak to all the assembly of Israel and say, on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb or kid for his family, one per household. Except that if the household is too small for a whole lamb or kid, then he and his next door neighbor should share one, dividing it in proportion to the number of people eating it. Your animal must be without defect, a male in its first year, and you may choose it from either the sheep or the goats. You are to keep it until the 14th day of the month, and then the entire assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter it at dusk. They are to take some of the blood and smear it on the two sides and top of the doorframe at the entrance of the house in which they eat it. That night they are to eat the meat, roasted in the fire. They are to eat it with matzah and maror. Don't eat it raw or boiled, but roasted in the fire with its head, the lower parts of its legs, and its inner organs. Let nothing of it remain till morning. If any of it does remain, burn it up completely. Here is how you are to eat it, with your belt fastened, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you are to eat it hurriedly. It is Adonai's Pesach, Passover. For that night I will pass through the land of Egypt and kill all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both men and animals. And I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt. I am Adonai. The blood will serve you as a sign, marking the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. When I strike the land of Egypt, the death blow will not strike you. This will be a day for you to remember and celebrate as a festival to Adonai. From generation to generation, you are to celebrate it by a perpetual regulation. Exodus 1:14. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between sundown and complete darkness, comes Pesach for Adonai. On the 15th day of the same month is the festival of Matzah. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. On the first day, you are to have a holy convocation. Don't do any kind of ordinary work. Bring an offering made by fire to Adonai for 7 days. On the 7th day is a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. Leviticus 23:5-8. Adonai said to Moses, "Tell the people of Israel to turn around and set up camp in front of Pi-Hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal-Zephon. Camp opposite it, by the sea. Then Pharaoh will say that the people of Israel are wandering in the countryside, and the desert has closed in on them. I will make Pharaoh so hard-hearted that he will pursue them. Thus, I will win glory for myself at the expense of Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will realize at last that I am Adonai." The people did as ordered. And it came to pass as Adonai has said. The Egyptians went after the Israelites, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, with his cavalry and army, and overtook them as they were encamped by the sea. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and saw the Egyptians right there, coming after them. In great fear, the people of Israel cried out to Adonai and said to Moshe, "Was it because there weren't enough graves in Egypt that you brought us out to die in the desert? Why have you done this to us, bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we tell you in Egypt to let us alone? We'll just go on being slaves for the Egyptians? It would be better for us to be the Egyptian slaves than to die in the desert." Moshe answered the people, "Stop being so fearful. Remain steady, and you will see how Adonai is going to save you. He will do it today. Today you have seen the Egyptians, but you will never see them again. Adonai will do battle for you. Just calm yourselves down." Adonai asked Moses, "Why are you crying to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift your staff, reach out with your hand over the sea, and divide it in two. The people of Israel will advance into the sea on dry ground. As for me, I will make the Egyptians hard-hearted, and they will march in after them. Thus I will win glory for myself at the expense of Pharaoh and all his army, chariots, and cavalry. Then the Egyptians will realize that I am Adonai when I have won myself glory at the expense of Pharaoh, his chariots, and his cavalry." Moses reached his hand out over the sea, and Adonai caused the sea to go back before a strong east wind all night. He made the sea become dry land, and its water was divided in two. Then the people of Israel went into the sea on the dry ground, with the water walled up for them on their right and their left. The Egyptians continued their pursuit, going after them into the sea, all Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and cavalry. Just before dawn, Adonai looked out on the Egyptian army through the column of fire and cloud and threw them into a panic. He caused the wheels of their chariots to break off so that they could move only with difficulty. The Egyptians said, "Adonai is fighting for Israel against the Egyptians. Let's get away from them." Adonai said to Moses, "Reach your hand out over the sea, and the water will return and cover the Egyptians with their chariots and cavalry." Moses reached his hand out over the sea, and by dawn, the sea had returned to its former depth. The Egyptians tried to flee, but Adonai swept them into the sea. The water came back and covered all the chariots and cavalry of Pharaoh's army who had followed them into the sea. Not even one of them was left. But the people of Israel walked on dry ground in the sea, with the water walled up for them on their right and on their left. On that day, Adonai saved Israel from the Egyptians. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore. When Israel saw the mighty deed that Adonai had performed against the Egyptians, the people feared Adonai, and they believed in Adonai and his servant Moses.